everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the She and Success podcast, powered by She and Success Business Magazine, a platform dedicated to spotlighting the voices, strategies, and journeys of women leaders and entrepreneurs who are shaping Canada's business and policy landscape. Today, we are discussing the intersection of technical innovation and human centric leadership. In 2026, the success of a small business often hinges on its ability to simplify complex back office tasks like payroll, allowing founders to get back to what they truly love. Joining us today is Jenna Poste, VP of Product at Wagepoint. With nearly 20 years of experience in B2B SaaS and an industrial engineering background, Jenna leads the product strategy for a platform trusted by over 30,000 Canadian businesses. Beyond her technical expertise, she is a passionate mentor and advocate for digital well-being. So before further ado, let's welcome this very special guest. Jenna, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Now, Jenna, as VP of Product, you are at the helm of platform strategy for one of Canada's most essential payroll tools. So let's start the conversation by understanding what are you currently building at Wagepoint to support small businesses?
Well, one of the things that we're really looking at is just how do we make payroll be the easiest part of your business? And so we're looking at how we can sort of shape that experience to be on the go and where you are and be something that it can go into the background and you can trust to get your people paid on time and accurately. And so very recently we launched integrated timesheets, which allows our small business owners to not only be able to have time get automatically synced with payroll, but we launched our My Wagepoint app, which allowed employees to be able to enter time on the go because we just know that today's workforce is not all sitting behind a desk, and especially small business owners and their employees. So we want to meet them where they are, where the work is happening, and allow them to, get that time into the platform, make sure it's accurate, make it easy, so that that payday can go smooth.
Definitely. I think building tools specifically for the Canadian landscape, it ensures that small businesses aren't just compliant, but truly efficient. So thank you so much for that. I'd love to dive a little deeper into your mind and understand when you think about a strategy, how exactly do you choose which features to go for and which not? So, this actually matters to a lot of users, right? So, let's understand the psyche behind this entire process. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like if you're to describe my role, it's to ensure that we're building the right products to solve real customer problems. So that does mean that, to deeply understand the needs of small business and their advisors and aligning those with our company strategic objectives, but working closely with engineering to make sure we can deliver solutions that are valuable and scalable. So really it's about turning those customer insights into like meaningful outcomes for our customers and for the business. And it's about, looking at, there's a lot of noise that can come in when there's different customers at different with different needs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of an art and science of kind of weighing those trade-offs and understanding how that's going to have an impact for not only maybe that one customer who's asking it for it, but other small businesses or other partners that support them, and how we can translate it into something in the product that will actually be meaningful for them.
That's great. I think translating user feedback into a product roadmap is the best way to ensure that technology solves real world frustrations rather than, just adding or piling up to them. On that note, Jenna, I'd love to understand, is this something that, came naturally to you in your career, or is this something that, you stumbled upon in your life? Are you this passionate about this work from the beginning of, your career, your education, or is it something that, you developed an interest in? So what's your story?
Yeah, I think everyone's career into product is so different. And so mine, as you shared, started as industrial engineering. I did my engineering degree. So I went into that specific discipline though, because I really liked the balance of the technical understanding, but it really had that kind of business and human side to it. And so when I started my career, it was at BlackBerry during that hyper growth phase. I had an opportunity to be surrounded by incredibly sharp people, learning really fast. I earned my MBA at the same time to then sort of round out my skill set on the business side. And I got my first exposure to product teams there. I didn't know what product management was. At the time, you couldn't go to school to be a product manager to get into product. But what was interesting was it wasn't until I actually took a leap of faith and moved to New Zealand with my now husband. And
Mhm,
we kind of left everything, our very stable jobs that we were very comfortable in, and went for the unknown. But it gave me the opportunity to actually get into my first software development product role. And it kind of has been, it's been the history ever since. Like, I love the trifecta, I sort of look at it, of the technical side, the business
uh-huh,
side, and then like the people side of it, and bringing those three elements together and being a translator many times across the business. So being the translator with engineering to like translate those requirements into what needs to get built, and then
mhm,
translating what we've built to the rest of the business and our customers so they can understand the value of it as well. So I think that background starting in the technical side and then moving
mhm.
into the business side and putting it all together, it's just to me has been a natural place that I'm just been so glad to have been landed into.
Wow, that I'm so glad that you shared that. It's a beautiful story, and we are incredibly proud of everything that you've achieved so far, Jenna, and so much more to come, right? On that note, you mentioned something very interesting, an intersection of technology, business, and people, right? So, on that note, just to expand a little bit more on that, if I were to ask you what's your favorite thing that you enjoy about the business or the entrepreneurship part of the entire thing, what would you say?
I think that it's always changing. Yeah, I think the
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I love is it's not predictable. It keeps it exciting, and I
Uh-huh.
think we're always learning. I'm somebody who is a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to stop learning, and I think that in my career as well, I've kind of shifted in different industries almost on purpose to take on a new challenge and learn a different part of what is out there in the world. And
Yeah,
I do think that that is what kind of excites me about the small business profile. And then being also
right.
much of my career has been in smaller teams as well and smaller businesses who are building for small businesses.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. On that note, if we talk about leadership, right? Um, Everyone has a different definition, and every leadership can look like different things, right? So, from your extensive experience, Jenna, if I were to ask you, uh, what does empathetic leadership look like to you with a lot of emotions, empathy, considerations for everyone who's involved? What would you say?
Well, yeah, I think empathetic is would be one of the words I would have described for myself as far as my leadership style. I think to me it's about, and then also within product, like within product, you
Yeah,
have to be very empathetic to your users. So you have to deeply understand them. You have to try to sit in their shoes. And I think you need to know that it's not always the same experience for everybody. Everyone, you have to come at them a little bit differently and understand them to know how you can support them. And so that's kind of what I look at, not only in how I lead my teams, but then how I look at product as well. And, being empathetic to yourself, to your teams, to your customers, and that being at the center of everything you do.
beautiful. And on that note, firstly, personally, I completely agree with you, and even I fall in this category. For the listeners, I'd like to address this to all the small business owners and leaders who are watching. In 2026, your people are your greatest asset, but only if you lead them with clarity and care. Jenna's work at Wagepoint proves that you can build high tech, innovative products without losing the human touch. If you are struggling to maintain culture while scaling, remember that leading with compassion isn't soft. It's a competitive advantage. And for those looking to join a team that values this balance, Wagepoint is hiring 45 remote members this year. So don't just build a company, build a community where your team can actually thrive. Coming back to you, Jenna,
Mhm.
prioritizing the well-being of your team, it creates a resilient culture that can handle the fast-paced demands of specifically this fintech world, right? That's beautiful. Now, moving ahead, let's explore simplifying payroll through a human-first approach. So, to begin, why is simplicity needed in the first place in this industry? Explain from a layman's perspective.
Sure. I think I look at it like, payroll isn't something or the reason why someone starts a business. That coffee shop owner, opens because they love coffee in their
Mhm.
community. They're not there because they love running payroll. And
Of
so our
course.
job is to make payroll feel like it's just it's just running behind the background and nothing that they'll ever regret. And so we're really building for those Canadian small business owners and just
Mhm.
make sure that they know that they can trust WagePoint to have payday run smooth and we make it as simple as possible because they're not payroll experts. So, it is a complex thing. It creates a lot of anxiety in folks when they're first getting started, and we try to make that as simple as possible and bring them on with a lot of support and
Mhm.
help them through that journey.
Wow, I think removing the complexity of payroll, the best part is that it gives business owners one thing back that they can't buy, and that is the time to focus on their own passion, right? So that is, I think, where Wagepoint is a great deal. On that note, let's do a little time travel. Say I were to give you a time machine right now, Jenna, and say we were to
Mm.
go 5 or 10 years into the future. When you get out of the time machine, how exactly do you envision the payroll industry changing and, Wagepoint taking over?
Well, I think obviously in the world of AI, it's changing everything in all businesses and all elements.
Yeah.
And I think if you think about AI and how it could help in many ways is not necessarily be the driver, but be the co-pilot. So
Hmm.
whether it's helping to make sure that you're compliant, to be there to answer questions, to surface anomalies that are hard to detect if you're just looking at a single payroll, as opposed to maybe looking over a period of time and seeing if there's anomaly or catch an error before it happens. And so I think the more that we're moving into AI, the more that payroll will be able to start to move even further into the background. And I think that you'll be able to have a lot more ability to spend more time again on your business or in your family in those evening hours, and not have to spend your late nights on a Tuesday trying to run payroll for the team as much, and let the tools around you help actually execute in some of that back office work like payroll.
Wow, you've painted quite a picture there. The future definitely looks very promising. And also, I believe that Reachpoint, you guys are coming up with new tools that is, improving the employee and also the employer experience. So I'd love for you to take this opportunity to, talk a little about that as well.
Yeah, so as I shared earlier, we recently launched our My WagePoint app and a new time integration, but we're
Hmm.
also looking at more in which we can sort of roll out the ability to integrate time into the platform. So we're actually building a time off management solution that we're looking to integrate in. So again, allow it to be on the mobile to submit in for your vacation requests, have those approved, just flow through, and everything sync into payroll.
Hmm.
We're also just looking to continue to, again, we're actually exploring some AI solutions right now, and how do we help surface some anomalies, surface some insights, and really help make that, come forefront for folks so that they don't have to do the work to find
Hmm.
those anomalies, and they can actually take action, or at least consider an action when they see that flagged. So we're really like looking to consolidate into a single platform today. We've got a couple peripheral products that we utilize today, and we're trying to make that a simple experience in one single platform that you
Hmm.
don't have to have a whole bunch of add-ons to be able to execute the core workflow of payroll.
That's amazing. And if, any of the business owners want to know more about it, they can just go on the website and check out the information, right?
Yeah, yeah, and always reach out to learn more. Like we've got lots kind of coming this year. It's
Uh-huh.
been a lot of momentum that's been going in since 2026 started, and we're really excited to sort of see how we continue to grow through this year.
That's amazing. I'll encourage all the listeners to check out the links in the description below as well. On that note, Jana, I'd love for you to share your mantra of success with our listeners as well. One thing that keeps you going through all the difficulties, through all the hardships. Specifically, we as women, we are juggling between so many roles, so many hats, right? So we all have those days when we don't want to get out of bed, but we still do. So what's that one thing that keeps you going no matter what?
I think it's always my family. Like I think we're all doing this, for the people around us that we love the most.
Uh-huh.
And as a mother, it's sometimes hard to balance that career and that personal and family life. And I think you can never have all those three areas probably in the same place at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sometimes having a little bit as well of like I guess, grace with yourself that, you can't be everything to everybody all the time, but, as long as you're shifting and moving through those balances, in a healthy way and not forgetting about yourself, I think that's what's really important.
Wow. I'm loving this conversation. And definitely, I'd love for you to be back, Jenna, hopefully for an in studio episode that we do the next. But for now, before we let you go, if there's one final piece of advice that you would have for the business owners, who are overwhelmed by technology and, don't know where to take that first leap of faith from, if you could whisper one thing into their ear, what would you say and why?
Don't be afraid. go for it. There's people and tools around you to support you,
Mhm.
and I think, don't be afraid of the unknown.
Wow, that was very reassuring and also a great reminder that technology should always be a bridge to simplicity, not a barrier, right? Thank you so much for joining us, Jenna. It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
All right, that was Jenna Poste from Wagepoint, a masterclass in product innovation, empathetic leadership, and the power of making business simple for Canadians. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning into the She and Success podcast, powered by She and Success Business Magazine. Be sure to subscribe for more expert insights and visit sheandsuccess.ca for more resources. And to understand how we are contributing, please go ahead at sheandsuccessfoundation.ca. And lastly, a very special thank you to our exclusive shipping partner, Payroll, for their ongoing commitment to supporting women entrepreneurs and helping them build, grow, and lead successful businesses across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.